Orlando Magic HQ, what's poppin'? So Magic fans, now that we are a couple of weeks away removed from the NBA draft lottery, and now we can kind of look forward to the NBA draft actually happening here in about the next 3 to 4 weeks, Magic fans are still extremely torn on whether the Magic should go out there and trade both of our lottery picks at number 6 and 11 to go out there and get some proven acquired talent to help add to this roster, to help not only make a playoff push for this season, but to also go out there and add some more talent for just the future of this team moving forward. Or if the Magic should just continue to stand pat at 6 and 11 in the lottery and to continue to build this young core and this nucleus together through the draft. And Magic fans, if you saw the last video that we already talked about, we talked about the Magic going out there and possibly trading for a guy and a proven guy in Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics, who's going to be in the last year of his contract. He looks like a disgruntled asset up in Boston, and the Celtics have been officially eliminated from the postseason as they lost to the Miami Heat in 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. But this video is not about Jaylen Brown. This video is about a guy who's extremely familiar in the Central Florida area. He's from the Maitland area. He went to high school here in Orange County at Edgewater High School, and he played basketball at IMG Academy in the Bradenton, Florida area. And that's going to be with Portland Trailblazers guard Anfrenee Simons. Now, Anfrenee Simons is the former 24th overall pick in the 2018 NBA draft. He was the dunk contest winner in the NBA Slam Dunk Contest in 2021. And Anfrenee Simons is in the second year of a 4-year, $100 million contract. He's only 23 years of age, and he's going to be 24 years of age on June 8th, so happy early birthday to him. And while the Portland Trailblazers were a struggling team this season, and that's why they have the number 3 overall pick in this year's NBA draft lottery, Anfrenee Simons was nothing short of spectacular this season for the Portland Trailblazers, because in 62 games, he averaged a career-high 21 points per game on 44, 37, 89 splits. And we know Anfrenee Simons has one of the deepest bags in the game of basketball today. He is an absolute threat offensively, and he's only continued to work on his game, and you've clearly seen how much better his game has gotten over time and the effectiveness in which he's actually putting the ball in the hoop. Now let's actually take a look at Anfrenee Simons' shooting split to the advanced stats, right? When you talk about his shooting from less than 5 feet, he's shooting 61.9%, 5 to 9 feet, 38.8%, 10 to 14, 54.4%, 15 to 19, 48.7%, and from 20 to 29 feet, he's shooting 36.9%. He's doing a phenomenal job, and even when you just want to talk about his layup attempts, he's shooting 57.3% on all of his layups, his jump shots, 39.9%, and his catch and shoot 3-point shots, even when he's not coming off the dribble, 37.7%. To me, Anfrenee Simons has just an absolute deep bag. He's got a great arsenal in his game. The guy can handle the rock. He does great in pick and roll situations. He does a great job in the catch and shoot game. And Anfrenee Simons is an athletic leaper. So now that we've kind of talked about what Anfrenee Simons can bring on the court, and especially what he can do on the offensive side of the ball, now let's actually talk about why would the Portland Trailblazers even consider trading him, right? And I want to make it very clear from the get-go that this is all speculation and this is all substantial on what the Portland Trailblazers front office is really thinking about this team this season and for this team moving forward. So if the Portland Trailblazers are thinking to themselves that we want to go out there and we want to acquire some talent to put around Damian Lillard, we're going to be willing to trade the number 3 overall pick in this year's draft, as Woj already reported on the Woj podcast that the Portland Trailblazers are willing to trade this year's number 3 overall pick in order to acquire an elite talent. Are they going to go out there and actually go and get an elite talent to pair up with Anfrenee Simons, Damian Lillard, Shaedon Sharpe, and the list goes on? I highly doubt it. And if the Portland Trailblazers can't go out there and get an elite talent to pair up with this young core, are the Portland Trailblazers going to be willing to trade Damian Lillard and say, we want to honor your ability to go out there and to possibly go out there and win a championship? That could very well happen, even though Damian Lillard's made it very clear he is very loyal to the city of Portland. I've been out there. It's a beautiful city. They embrace Rip City out there in Portland. And I know Damian Lillard wants to be loyal to this fan base, this organization, to that city, and bring a championship to Portland. But if Portland cannot put the pieces around him, Damian Lillard's also made it very clear he wants to go and compete for a championship at this stage in his career. Now, this all ties back to Anfrenee Simons, because if the Portland Trailblazers can't go out there and get talent to put around Damian Lillard to go out there and try to compete in this year's Western Conference, they might look at this roster and say, you know what? We're going to have to trade away Damian Lillard. We might have to trade away Anfrenee Simons and just build this whole thing up from the ground up. And let me drive home yet again, this is just all speculation. So if the Portland Trailblazers do go out there and say that, you know what, we're gonna entertain some trade thoughts for a guy in Anfrenee Simons, Orlando, what can you offer us? Let's talk about some trade packages. Now, I've got 2 trade packages for Anfrenee Simons, and this first one is the one that I would personally be willing to do. The second one would kind of hurt me a little bit more, but I'm not exactly sure how much or how little you'd have to give up to get Anfrenee Simons, but let's talk about this first one. So in this first trade package, the Orlando Magic would receive Anfrenee Simons, and then the Portland Trailblazers would be receiving Gary Harris, Cole Anthony, and both of our lottery picks at number 6 and 11 in this year's draft. This could work for the Portland Trailblazers if they decide to blow things up, because you get a veteran role player in a guy like Gary Harris who can be a solid 3-point shooter even though he's extremely streaky. And then you get a guy in Cole Anthony who's honestly a lesser version of an Anfrenee Simons as of right now. Cole Anthony has done a lot for this Orlando Magic team since coming into the league just a couple of seasons ago. And Cole Anthony has really embraced that 6-man role, so that would definitely hurt me a lot because he is a fan favorite and he's a guy that brings a lot of character and juice and energy to this team. But I do think that you're ultimately gonna have to give up a guy like that because he is an offensive threat. The guy is a shot maker and he's got a lot of similar skill sets to a guy in Anfrenee Simons, but then also you're gonna have to give up both of this year's lottery picks. If the Trailblazers cannot give up that number 3 overall pick and the Magic want to go out there and make this trade, it would make a lot of sense for the Portland Trailblazers to have as much draft capital as possible. And in this situation, they would have the number 3 overall pick, the 6th and 11th overall pick as well too. Now getting into the second trade package, like I said, this one hurts me a little bit more. Let's talk about it. So the Orlando Magic will still be receiving Anfrenee Simons. The Portland Trailblazers will then be receiving Chuma Okeke, Jalen Suggs, and yet again, both of our lottery picks in this year's draft. Now with Chuma Okeke, he's definitely been a guy who's never truly found his footing here in Orlando since coming into the NBA out of Auburn, and Chuma Okeke has dealt with a plethora of injuries, kind of similar to Jonathan Isaac, even though he's seen more court time than Jonathan Isaac in recent memory. Chuma Okeke has been extremely sporadic when it comes to his injury history and his health, and I don't think he's ever really gotten a fair opportunity just strictly off of that, and you wish him nothing but the best. I do think Chuma can still go out there and be a solid 3-and-D player for another team out there, and I hope he gets another opportunity out there. I just don't think he's in the long-term plans for the Orlando Magic anymore. And then when you talk about a guy in Jalen Suggs, who's probably my first or second favorite player on this Magic team, I still think he's got an extremely high ceiling as one of the elite perimeter guards in the game today, especially when you talk about his defensive tenacity and what Jalen Suggs can do offensively speaking. I do think he's only going to continue to get better, and I think Jalen Suggs still has, like I said, an extremely high ceiling, so that one definitely hurts me a lot. We've seen Jalen Suggs take over games for the Orlando Magic, but I do think you're gonna have to give up one of your better young guards, not named Markelle Fultz, in order to go out there and get a guy in Anfrenee Simons along with your lottery picks. Now, Magic fans, when I talk about a starting 5 potentially of a guy in Markelle Fultz and Anfrenee Simons in the backcourt with Paolo Banchero going into year 2, building upon his Rookie of the Year status, then you go into Franz Wagner going into year 3, alongside Wendell Carter at the 5, who I think is honestly more of a 4, but that's a topic for another day. This team and that starting 5 right there, to me, is going to be one of the best starting 5s in the Eastern Conference next year. To me, that is a guaranteed playoff lock spot in the Eastern Conference if that team continues to remain healthy, which is something that's plagued the Orlando Magic in recent memory. And I do think that when you still look at the depth across the board, if you're going to keep one of the other guys in Jalen Suggs or Cole Anthony, you're still going to have one of those guys coming off the bench. Jonathan Isaac possibly still coming off the bench if he remains on this roster. Then you're going to talk about other guys like Michael Carter-Williams, Bol Bol. The list goes on. There's plenty of other players that I could sit here and talk about, but I think that starting 5 of Markelle Fultz, Anfrenee Simons, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and Wendell Carter would be a great starting 5 in the Eastern Conference, and I think Anfrenee Simons really fits into that lineup kind of seamlessly. He's not a guy that demands the ball consistently up and down the court. He can take some of that ball pressure off of guys like Banchero, Franz, and Markelle Fultz, and obviously we know he's a shooter. Off the dribble, he can obviously attack the rim, he can penetrate and create for others. And even if you want to talk about him just catching shooting threes, when Banchero, Franz Wagner, and Markelle Fultz dish the ball out to him, we know Anfrenee Simons can consistently knock down jumpers. Now, before I really wrap up this video, I just want to say yet again that this is all extremely unlikely, and that this is all just substantial on what the Portland Trailblazers front office is going to be willing to do. I still don't think that they're going to be able to trade the number 3 overall pick and get an elite player out there in order to pair up with Damian Lillard, so I think that they're probably going to go in the direction of blowing this team up and really trading away a lot of their assets in order to try to rebuild this franchise. And like I said, that is all just substantial on what the Portland Trail Blazers front office wants to do. But Magic fans, if you guys enjoyed today's video and you guys want to see Anfernee Simons here in Orlando, make sure you guys go ahead and drop me a thumbs up. It takes 1 second and it helps me and the channel out tremendously. Make sure you guys also go ahead and hit that subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Orlando Magic content that I do here on YouTube. And make sure you guys also go ahead and follow me and OrlandoMagicHQ on all of our socials, especially on Twitter. I'm very active and we're very active on there every single day. The link tree will be in the description down below, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. But Magic fans, thanks again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, AKA BJ, I'm out, y'all. Go Magic, baby. Peace.